The manifestations of the miracle took various forms in Custodia. Although they were often referred to as blessings, they frequently seemed to take the form of punishment. One prominent example of that fact would be the story of Lady Socorro. Deep within the Mother of Mothers Church, Socorro suffered endless torture. Her hands were restrained above her head, deep gashes cut her skin, and her body was warped and broken. But this was something that Socorro had wanted. She had begged the miracle to let her suffer this awful physical torment. The reason stems from Socorro's youth. Throughout the days that she had filled with devout piety, she would frequently see lines of downtrodden, hopeless individuals march past her home. These lines of sullen people were made up of criminals that the inquisitors from the Mother of Mothers had condemned to torture and death. Socorro's village just so happened to be along the route they walked as they made their way to the site of their execution. And if she looked out from her bedroom window, she could see them climb a hill not far from her home, where they would meet their terrible end. But worse than the sorrowful, terrified look on these people's faces were their cries of pain and suffering from the torture, which Socorro could hear day and night. The horrible sounds filled her heart with pity and compassion, and in a fit of pious passion, she dropped to her knees and prayed to the miracle. She prayed for the salvation of these prisoners, for them to be free of their pain, even if it meant that their pain had to be passed to her. Once these words were uttered, wounds began appearing on her body. Gashes and bruises and cuts and scratches. Yet still, she prayed. Her injuries broke her body and blood pooled around her mangled form. Yet still, she prayed. The cries of the condemned that pained Socorro's heart were replaced by torturous cries of her own. Yet still, she prayed. Sensing the pity within Socorro's heart, the miracle accepted Socorro's plea, letting others be spared physical punishment so long as she suffered their torment forever. Thus, the Lady of Perpetual Agony was born, the latest manifestation of the miracle's blessing in Custodia. Socorro moved to the Mother of Mothers, where a small shrine was constructed for her, where she continued receiving the lashes of her wards, of those she swore to suffer for. Among those that she swore to protect were 3 soldiers of the Anointed Legion, the order responsible for protecting the Mother of Mothers. Whether these men were reformed criminals that were exonerated and accepted by the clergy since they were protected by Socorro and thus had the blessing of the miracle, or if Socorro chose these 3 as wards of her own after moving to the Mother of Mothers isn't known, but to each of these soldiers a mark was given, a symbol that proved that they had the blessing of the Lady. Not long after Socorro's move to the Mother of Mothers, after news of her miraculous condition had spread throughout the land, a man clad in red robes appeared before her shrine. Named Cleophas, he was a former member of the Order of the True Burial, who, upon hearing the miraculous story of Socorro, abandoned his oaths and sought out the pious lady. Upon finding her, he took to standing a watchful vigil over her, taking in the splendor of the Lady of the Perpetual Agony. One day, during his reverential admirations, a man clad in iron armor visited Cleophas and Socorro, and the story of what happened next varies wildly depending on the actions of this passing penitent. Seeing the never-ending agony of Socorro could have filled the Penitent One's heart with pity, not dissimilar to how Socorro felt when she heard the cries of pain from the condemned criminals so long ago, and wielding an instrument of the miracle, he could choose to end her suffering. As Socorro crumples in a heap, Cleophas will begin to weep, distraught at her end, soon leaving his spot from the side of Socorro's shrine. The Penitent One will find him again behind a locked door in the wall of the Holy Prohibitions, presumably an inmate of the vast prison. How he ended up here isn't clear. Maybe it was because he was blamed for Socorro's end and was imprisoned as a result. But what is clear is that Cleophas is now inconsolable. mumbling in a miserable state about the immense pain that covers the land, now that Lady Socorro cannot spare others from suffering it. However, the Penitent One could have made another choice in regards to the fate of the lady. Instead of ending her suffering, he could make offerings to the lady. These offerings are the marks that were given to those 3 soldiers of the Anointed Legion, who can be found in the Archcathedral rooftops. The soldiers will drop their mark if they are bested by the Penitent One in battle, and subsequently, the Penitent One can return to Socorro and offer these marks as tribute to the lady. As he does so, Cleophas will notice that Socorro seems saddened by their return, and it seems her pain has been lessened. Once the 3rd mark has been offered, all of Lady Socorro's wounds instantly heal, and she vanishes. The Penitent One is confused by what's happened, but Cleophas seems to understand. With the return of her marks, those that she suffered for are no more, and with no one to suffer for, her work has come to its end. But this means that Cleophas is now lost. He had devoted his life to watching over the lady, but now that she's gone, he doesn't know what else to do with himself. He makes his way to the Archcathedral rooftops, contemplating the life he's led, miracles he's seen, what emptiness lies before him. His thoughts compel him to jump, ending the life he believes has no further meaning. However, in each case, the prison and the rooftops, Cleophas can be given a new purpose. Well, more of a return of an old one. The Penitent One can make his way to a house in Albaro, where the Order of the True Burial, the one facet of Cleophas's previous life, stands. One of the members, Ludovico, gives the Penitent One a cord of the True Burying, a symbol of the Order, and says giving it to Cleophas will mean a lot to him. Indeed, when given the item, it walks Cleophas back from the literal edge. Instead of ending his life, he takes some time for himself, praying and reflecting upon what he should do next. In time, the answer comes to him. He makes his way to the House of Albaro to rejoin the Order of the True Burying, determined to try and help other denizens of Custodia in any way that he can, taking after the example set forth by the Lady of Perpetual Agony. And with that, the story of Lady Socorro and her vigilant guardian Cleophas comes to an end. I know this one was a little different since the side quest branches off in 2 different ways, but I hope it wasn't too distracting and that you enjoyed all the same. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask and I'll do my best to answer them. But that's it for this one. Thank you for watching and see you later.